Good afternoon, everyone. I'll call this meeting to order. The meeting for Ensuring Sustainability's Advisory Committee. What I will do next is I will note at this time, we do not have quorum, and as such, this meeting that we have will be for information purposes only, that the advisory committee could not move on anything. There would be no recommendation coming forward from this committee, but we can carry on and have an informational session. So with that, I will take the opportunity at this point to read the land acknowledgement that we have when we gather together. We would like to begin by acknowledging that we are meeting on the traditional lands and treaty territory of the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation, which includes the Chippewas of Nawash unceded First Nation and the Chippewas of Saugeen First Nation. We also recognize the Métis, whose ancestors shared this land and these waters. We extend our gratitude to all Anishinaabe and Métis people and their descendants, past, present, and future, who continue to care for and inhabit these lands and tend these waters. I would now ask that you just take a moment of reflection before we begin with this afternoon's gathering. Thank you. I ask at this point if there's anyone here that would have any disclosure of pecuniary interest in the general nature thereof. Seeing none. A little something that we all read at advisory committees like this. It's about public participation. Members of the public are encouraged to provide the committee with their comments and questions. Presentations must be prearranged with legislative services before the agenda is released. Members of the public who wish to make a deputation about a specific agenda item at the meeting must register in advance with legislative services by 4 p.m. on May the 13th of this year by contacting the clerk at meaford.ca or 509-538-1060 extension 1110. Presentations are limited to 10 minutes. Deputations are limited to 5. I will ask if we have any presentations. Thank you. Or any deputations on the agenda. Thank you. So now we have as our item number 5, approving the minutes of this advisory committee dated March the 12th of Ensuring Sustainability's Advisory Committee to be approved as presented. So all we can do is just say that we have to do that next time we come back. Which makes things a little bit different here today for those of us that are gathered. So we're going to have a discussion though today. And those of you who have read what I was going to be bringing forward on plastic bottles, again, we can't move that forward today for myself to bring that towards council. But we certainly have a guest here today, Cassandro Sesko, and you can make a presentation, and the heading was on single-use plastics. So we definitely welcome you. We're open to listening to what you're going to bring to us, and be prepared. Maybe we ask you to come back the next meeting. We're not sure at this point, but that's a possibility. So welcome.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so I just kind of wanted to provide a little bit of information on different models that other municipalities of, similar sizes, around anywhere from like the 8,000 population to 20,000 range, how they've implemented a single-use plastic ban. Just to kind of give you an idea of what different models exist out there currently. There is also a directive from the federal government from a few years ago that has kind of been in limbo on banning single-use plastics. You are starting to see some of these things at the grocery stores, like you cannot get plastic bags anymore, and straws are getting away from being plastic and are paper now as well. But yeah, just looking at municipal level, I have a few different municipalities that I'll just kind of briefly talk about what they've done, some of their successes, some of their challenges, and lessons learned. So the first one, they implemented a bylaw banning plastics in 2021. The town launched an educational campaign to encourage the use of reusable plastic bags and alternatives. So they were using more of like a carrot approach than a stick approach. Some of the successes that they found were significant reduction in plastic bag usage, positive community response to educational initiatives. Some of the challenges were initial resistance from businesses concerned about increased costs and the need for continuous public communication, trying to continue that momentum. Lessons learned, engaging local businesses early on in the process was crucial. And that ongoing communication for maintaining their support. Another municipality had an approved motion to phase out single-use plastics at all municipal facilities. Oh, yes, sorry.
Reporter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And sorry, Cassandra. Which municipality is this you're referring to again? I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Oh, the first one, town of Coburg.
Coburg? Okay. Now, is this a single-use plastic ban that would just apply for municipal facilities, or is this across the entire municipality altogether?
This one was across the entire municipality.
Okay, so this would affect like individual homeowners as well.
Mostly for businesses.
Okay.
I
so-
can't remember I can't remember all the details if it was to individual residences. The focus was for like businesses trying to encourage, local businesses to reduce their plastics.
And I'm sorry, what year did they implement this, did you say?
2021.
21? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for that info.
Second municipality was town of Huntsville, about 20,000 population. They approved a motion to phase out single-use plastics at all municipal facilities and events. The town collaborated with local environmental advisory committees to develop the policy. Some of their successes were enhanced community awareness to environmental impacts of single-use plastics and increased adoption of reusable alternatives among residents and businesses. Some of the challenges that they received were balancing environmental goals with accessibility needs, particularly with individuals that require plastic straws, and ensuring compliance among all municipal departments and contractors. Some of the lessons learned were, having that inclusive policy design for those that require that. Then there's also town of Goderich, population around 8,000. They implemented policies encouraging businesses to voluntarily reduce single-use plastics. The town focused on community engagement and beach cleanliness initiatives. So some of their successes were improved cleanliness in public spaces, particularly with those beaches, and strong community involvement for environmental stewardship. Some of their challenges included limited enforcement capabilities for voluntary compliance and the need for more comprehensive waste diversion programs since they were somewhat limited. Some of their lessons learned were building community partnerships that were able to enhance some of their program effectiveness and clear guidelines and incentives to encourage business participation. Township of Tiny, population about 12,000. Their action was focused on waste reduction through community events and education, including initiatives to reduce plastic bottle usage and promote the refillable water stations. Some of their successes were increased use of refillable water amongst residents and enhanced community engagement in sustainability efforts. Their challenges included overcoming habits and convenience factor associated with the single-use plastics and limited infrastructure that was available. Some of their lessons learned, overall behavioral changes requires consistent messaging and accessible alternatives, and investing in infrastructure supports long-term sustainability goals that they were hoping to achieve. So that's kind of, yeah, a lot of the municipalities that I looked at did a lot of different things. A lot of them were using a more carrot approach than a stick approach. They wanted to keep things, you know, to encourage people to participate rather than mandating. The municipalities that have done the mandate and full mandate also had a lot of difficulties with enforcement. It's a very wide scope if you leave it, you know, too big. If you narrowed it down to, you know, say the municipal facilities and events, it's a little bit easier for them to put the focus on those in particular.
Thank you for that, Cassandra, because this committee, right from the very beginning, we've had discussions which take us into your final comments there about if we do something, it always does break down to the enforcement of it. And I think I'll just share back with yourself, maybe you are aware of this, but one of the little pieces of our meeting I kind of kept just to keep it fresh, that the committee discussed potential for a policy for the municipality with regards to single-use plastics and waste management, the difficulties of implementation for every level of government, and the importance of implementation in schools and collaborative businesses. We mentioned it's a cultural shift, and the role of the municipality into making a change and promoting the benefits that the community can, you know, get out of us having a proactive, you know, endeavor on just looking at single-use plastics. I liked what you said about plastic bags. I'm not sure whether this committee ever talks specifically about plastic bags, but it does go hand in hand. And I think that your comments also about what we can do at our facilities, at our events, and at those events, education. So I thank you for what you brought forward this afternoon, because it's absolutely in tune with what this committee is all about. Member Malloy, do you have any questions from what you heard this afternoon from Cassandra?
I've noticed here and there, they're starting to use, going back to paper bags, like forestry products, straws, stuff like that. And I don't know if that's really a solution to this problem, because now you're just passing it on to something else. Has there been any discussion on disposable or biodegradable plastics? More like biodegradable that break down over time.
It's kind of a tricky one. Like there are some plastics that can be made out of like bamboo, but they're not very widely used quite yet. And they have a different kind of feel to them than some of like the film plastics. So they're very different in their composure. Generally speaking, though, nothing has really been developed yet that breaks down in the natural environment. Like you can get like compostable bags if they have like the certified compostable label on them, and that's something that's been found effective. But with the blue box transition that's going to be taking place in January of 2026, we're likely going to see a lot of changes in design of packaging in the coming years to follow, because producers are going to be responsible for their products. So they're going to have an indirect incentive to make their packaging smaller, more efficient, maybe getting away from plastic, getting closer to something that is compostable. So then their disposal fees, they're not having to have it recycled. They can send it to different facilities.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for that. Yeah. Reporter?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you. So Pat, you bring up a really good point with regards to biodegradable microplastics. And I think an important part of that is to recognize that most biodegradable plastic products, like say straws and things, are cutlery, is they need to biodegrade and compost in sort of a controlled industrial environment. It's not like they just go into the garbage and they break down. They do break down faster, but the problem is if they don't break down in the right environment, they break down into microplastics, which is what we're trying to avoid altogether. So the biodegradable part just means that it breaks down. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's plastic free. So again, how do we control that these biodegradable plastic products end up in the right facility so they can break down accordingly? So I think until that is really a reliable order of operation, that the microplastic issue still is real. Now, Cassandra, back to you, if I may, Mr. Chair. With the examples that you gave from these 4 municipalities, were these a phased approach or were these implemented in one go? Because I know from a lot of the research that I've been putting into it, many of the municipalities incorporate a phased approach as it's more palatable, I guess, to be able to do it in phases. So further to that, if this municipality were to implement a single-use plastic ban, say in just municipal facilities, I see the challenge of enforcing with businesses is a much bigger challenge. So if it's a phased approach, municipality or the municipal facilities could be a really good start. So if this is something that I wanted to just bounce this off you, because I know you have a lot of experience in this area with some of the other municipalities you've worked with, how would we be able to structure something like that in this municipality so it is actually we can implement it. We can also measure the waste reduction as well, because the numbers is a really important part of it. We need to be able to quantify how much waste we're able to reduce from landfill through eliminating single-use plastics, water bottles, and things of that nature. So maybe you just sort of give us your comments with regards to how could this municipality implement something that could be actionable and sort of like in a phased approach. I know there's a lot of things I'm spitting out there, but thank you very much.
No, I think that's a really good point. I think a first phase could be something that is easily tangible. Having something directly at our facilities, our municipal facilities and events, I think is a really good first phase approach to start with. And to gather that information of what we to see what the impact is on that. We do get diversion reports from Miller Waste that show us, what they're picking up at our municipal facilities. So over time, if you have, something over the course of a year, some data from 2024 and 25, and say this is hypothetically implemented in 2026, then you could compare what those tonnages that are saved from previous years into those future years.
Yeah.
Something like that,
Again,
Mr. Chair.
sure, Member Porter.
Thank you kindly, and through you, Mr. Chair. So I think that would be the most sensible approach. In previous meetings, I'm not sure if you had seen any of this, but we did have the presentation from Mind Your Plastic, which is a nonprofit that helps municipalities figure out how to reduce single-use plastics. And Town of Ajax is a really good example of that municipality being able to implement in a phased approach for facilities and events. And then, of course, through the waste diversion measurables, they were able to quantify exactly how much waste they were able to save through these initiatives. And to touch on what the chair had mentioned with regards to a cultural shift, In my opinion, before we start asking the businesses to reduce their single-use plastics, the municipality needs to step up and lead by example. And I think that's a really important part of it, because a cultural shift is only going to come from the top down. It's no different than a hockey team, the coach sets the culture, and there's that trickle down effect. So I think if the municipality were ever to implement something like this, we need to lead by example by showing that, yes, we can do this. And then whatever the phased approach is after that, is to be determined. And then, of course, the measurables are really key. And then that educational component as well, because people need to understand what this all means, and the impacts and the benefits of being able to reduce these single-use plastics in landfills. Even the ones that still go into the recycling, there's no guarantee that these are all going to be recycled and repurposed and used for new product. I think that from my experience, if this is something that the municipality could implement, would be a phased approach that would be best with municipal facilities and for events. But it is very encouraging that our new CAO also has experience with this, with the town of Blue Mountains, because they do have a single-use plastics ban. So the great thing is, between you, Cassandra, and your experience, and our CAO, we do have people here that have experience and can help implement something like this, or at least walk us through, so we can have a plan that is actionable and can really make a difference. But I think that cultural shift component is really important, that we need to lead by example and show that if we're going to be a sustainable municipality, we shouldn't be pointing fingers at people. We should be pointing fingers at ourselves first, and then showing the public that these are the impacts, these are the benefits that we've been able to do, and then hopefully that becomes part of that cultural shift, and through that education component. So thank you for letting me share my comments, Mr. Chair.
Yeah. Well, very, very good conversation here. Cassandra, you've certainly spurred on some good thinking for us here. I'm wondering, to our chief building official, hearing about our facilities and so on, would you have anything at this point that maybe you could add for, as we move forward, maybe at the next meeting, what we could really consider on doing anything? Because I know when we had our pre-meeting, we did talk about our staff member being involved in the promotion through, they didn't like the word advertising because it kind of sounded like we're searching to, a business-like approach to advertising. But we do have someone who's definitely involved in the promoting of what we can do. And I think this conversation at this point, if you have anything to add, be great.
So through you, Mr. Chair, I think Cassandra brings a great deal of wealth in this and a lot of passion in this area. The other portion of it is maybe getting the manager of facilities and having that conversation with them and seeing what that looks in their facilities, and seeing if there's some synergies that we can kind of manage to get together. I think those are maybe some avenues where we can look at and see if there's an opportunity.
Yeah.
I'm kind of grasping at straws, just like you are.
Yeah. No, thanks for that, because some of my quick notes on this, basically, we've had education a couple of times in promoting. And so with what my co-chair had just mentioned about, the municipality to lead, well, where do we lead from? Where do we start? Maybe it is with the heads of managers at facilities, and we can look at that. So that's really good. Any final thoughts on this, Member Maloney, or just where we're at here before we maybe have to move on a little?
Well, I was just catching up, but you've made a motion for consideration to,
Yeah, that's the next item. Yeah.
oh, okay, so.
Do you want me to lead into that?
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
And then if you've got some comments on that? We can talk about it, that it's made aware. We just can't move it forward. I can't bring it to council after. It has to be left, and we pick it up again for the next meeting of this committee. But it's certainly something, just like talking about the plastics and where we're at. It was something that I was directed at the March 12th to do, and I have engaged, but we can't vote on it and say that it's what we're going to do. You can't pass the motion. Well, with that understanding, I hope
Sounds
that,
political.
I hope that we have had opportunity to read what I wanted to bring forward. And I hope that it is satisfactory in the aspect that we want to take some baby steps forward and bringing something forward into the future. And hopefully when we do have quorum, that we can do that and we'll make it happen at that time. So again, if you've got comments, then member Maloney on what I'm bringing forward.
Save it for the next meeting.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think that would be the best. However, you and I can definitely look at them maybe after. I'd love to see what your thoughts are
Good.
on it.
Yeah, well, it's positive, so it's a start.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. I
Yeah,
don't want to push it too much.
it does make things a little bit more difficult. I'd like to ask when this meeting is recorded by yourself, is it recorded that it was noted that there was no quorum and only open conversation? And you can't bring anything forward? Is that how you basically format it?
Yes, that's correct. It would be for information meeting
Yeah.
only.
2 or 3 lines and that's about it. Yeah. And that's, well, it does happen when we have volunteers. We can't control what folks need to do during their day.
Mr. Chair, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Where is everybody?
Pardon me?
Where is everybody?
I am not privy,
I
I'm
haven't
not
been
privy
a-
to that information.
I haven't been, present at the last 2 for health reasons, but
Yeah,
and nothing serious except replacement joints. But yeah, it's just disconcerting a little bit not to have at least quorum.
yeah, that's true. And at council, we have had other committees where we need to advertise again, even for more members to join.
Mhm.
We've had that right in midstream and we've been successful. So I hope we don't have to do that, but we'll definitely see by the next meeting.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good.
Let me just look through here where we're at. Communications, I guess. There's nothing that we could really discuss on that if we had some communication questions.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we can do committee inquiries. So if anyone around the table has
Yes.
anything to inquire, we can do that.
Well, thank you for that. And does you 2 members have any inquiries?
Well, I've got a statement I wanted to bring, or bring something to the table, which I guess would be like a motion for consideration, I guess. It's
Which now that you and I know we can't do.
yes.
Through you, Mr. Chair, you can do a motion for consideration because we don't have to pass a motion for that. So he's just letting me know of a motion he wants to bring. Is that what you're?
Yeah,
We
that would
can't
work.
put a motion on the table. So I can't put a motion on the
No.
table.
so it depends whether I want to get that out there at this point or.
So it might be,
Yeah.
if it's you're the one that emailed me to say that you would have a
Yes.
motion? Okay,
Yeah.
no, we can't do that, sorry. I thought you were just gonna tell me about a motion you wanted to bring. You can do that right now, just give me a general idea and then you can send it to me before the next meeting and we can have it on the agenda
Yeah.
for the next meeting.
Okay, so I can do that. I'll just send you an email and
Which is something, Member Malloy, we could definitely at this point invite you to join us at the next meeting. And we can have that stuff on here and on our next agenda, so it would be
Yeah.
fully listed, so we'll invite
that
you
would work.
to do that, to join us on that. It does make things a little more difficult. In our modern day, even on different service clubs, it's tough when you have meetings and folks that may be tied up doing other things in their busy lives. And it is something, it's different for myself as the chair. Really, it boils down to the fact that we cannot forward the business of the municipality. And it's as simple as that. So thank you though for coming out. We were only one shy. I suppose then quite truly, all we need to do at this point is announce that there's the date of our next meeting if we're really done with that. And it's listed here as Wednesday, July the 9th. And our pre-meeting for yourself, this is your official invite, Member Malloy, would be June the 25th. If that's correct, it's a couple of weeks ahead of the actual meeting. June the 25th, and it's at 9:30. We can send that out
Through you, Mr. Chair, I can actually add him right now. If you just give me 1 second, I'll make sure
Yeah.
it's in his calendar.
Okay, well, we'll send that out to you. And do you know where we meet for our pre-meeting? We meet in the old library, right beside, like,
Oh.
it's part of the admin center. It's where the building department and the planning department is, and there's an office there. And it's at 9:30, and you come in and we talk about what we'd like to see put on the agenda. So our next agenda is going to actually be fairly full. It's going to have this one picked up and anything we talk about in the future. So you
Okay.
mark that down for yourself, and this is your official invite to attend that.
And what exactly is that? Because is this a council meeting?
Nope.
Coming to, or?
No, we gather, we talk about what needs to be on the agenda,
Oh,
guest
okay.
speakers, anything like that, things that
For-
we're
for this
talking about.
committee,
Yeah,
For this,
yep, absolutely.
Through you,
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I
That
just
would be-
want to be sure, is it Pat Malloy?
yeah,
Maloney?
Pat
Yes.
Maloney. yes.
Maloney? Okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to send you the invite right now.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, and okay, I could bring that up at that point without,
yeah,
it's not something I want to put in front of council at this point, because
okay.
I don't want to start a fight.
And again, like I said, I'd like to, I'll read
Yeah,
it.
no, this would be good. That sounds like the right process to get it to everybody's attention and go from there. That'd be
So
great.
with that, folks, those of you who are watching this, it is absolutely a very quick, what is it, a half an hour
Yeah.
meeting today? And I want to thank you other two members for coming today. And Cassandra had to leave to do other things, but just having her thoughts brought before us gave us some things for consideration that we can put together. So with that, I am going to declare that this meeting is adjourned.